All right, I'm coming to you today from all right. Hello everybody, how are you? Glad you could join me today. I'm filming today in my dark office. It is after the sun went down. My trusted window is not bright anymore, so I had to use some external lighting to make this all work. I hope it is kind of okay. But I felt it was important that I talk to you as quickly as I could, because what I have for you today is kind of a public service announcement. If you are within the Apple ecosystem, this is for you. If you're an Android user, you can still listen to it. I don't know if it applies to you at all, because I don't have an Android phone. I have an Apple phone. I have an iPhone. I didn't get the new iPhone yet. Sorry, I don't have that kind of money. But it's an important announcement that I want to make, because I just discovered something. It has to do with your safety, with the safety of your account. So it's important, in my opinion. So that's why I wanted to do this as quickly as I could. On Monday, the new operating system was already distributed by Apple. If you have an iPhone and you had iOS 17 installed, now iOS 18 is out. And it is a big one. You can modify your phone now so it's exactly what you want. If you want all your icons to be pink or black and white, you can do that all now, easy. Lots of things to play around with. That's not what I'm talking about today. What I want to talk to you about today is the new app that was installed with this update on your phones. And it's an app that Apple created, and it's called Passwords. It is a password manager that came out of Keychain. So you already probably used Apple passwords in the past. When you're typing something in and you're using for Safari, Apple will ask you if you want to save that password. You can turn that on or off, but if you have been using it, this app Passwords by Apple is now an easier, accessible, more user-friendly interface for you to use these passwords and save them and make sure you can look them up when you need them. It was a little bit more complicated before. It was kind of more running in the background, but this one is like a real password manager app now. I have been using a password manager for quite a few years because I can't remember all the passwords that I'm using on a daily basis. But it wasn't the Apple one. It was one that's called 1Password. It's from a company in Toronto. I think it's a Canadian company. They charge me in US dollars. I don't know. You have to pay for it. But I thought it was worth it. Now that Apple came out with their own password manager, I thought, why spend that extra cash on a password manager? Why don't just have everything hosted by Apple so it's already included? And I have to say, it works really well. It works great on the phone. It works great on the computer. I did some research how to better use it. But then I ran across an article, and that gave me pause. The iPhone has a passcode. That passcode unlocks your phone when your biometric unlocking doesn't work. Maybe you're wearing a scarf wrapped around your face, sun's glaring. In some of these instances, the biometric, in my case, Face ID, but it's also fingerprint, that won't work. And so it gives you the option to put your passcode in. That's great, but that's 4 digits. So the same 4 digits that now that you're in the phone unlocks your entire library of passwords. And that's a problem. So in the case of what I've been reading is this young woman in New York, club, disco, I don't know what they were doing. And she hung out with this guy. They had a chat over a drink. And at the end of the evening, she realizes her phone is gone. What she didn't realize is that the guy that she had been talking to had a friend looking over her shoulder as she was adding the passcode in. So now they had her phone and her passcode. With the phone and the passcode, the first thing they did instantly, like right as soon as they had left, turned off Find My, meaning now she can't ping her phone anymore. And then going into her password stored on the phone, finding the password for her Apple ID and changing the password for that. So now she was locked out of everything. And when I say everything, I mean her photos on iCloud, all stored, gone. Her MacBook, completely locked. Everything that uses that Apple ID login was now locked and lost. Although she still owns the MacBook, she can't use it. She still owns a watch, she can't use it. The phone is gone. They now wiped the phone, they're selling the phone, and with her Apple ID, they can now access her payment credit card information that's stored on the phone and go to her bank account, which the password is probably also stored in that password manager, and they cleaned her out. The money is one thing, but memories and photos is another thing. The implications of this are massive. And that, again, gave me such pause because these 4 digits will now unlock everything. And I kind of panicked a little bit because I am in the Apple ecosystem full blown, but everything is controlled by this one Apple ID. For the ones in the back of the room, when you store your passwords in Apple's password manager, the old one, which was called Keychain, or the new one, which is called Passwords, once you unlock your phone, these passwords are all easily accessible. Even if you have 2-factor authentication turned on for everything, the authentication request is going to be sent to that phone that was stolen. So at that point, you're locked out. You get what I mean? So it's a problem. What can we do about it? The number one thing that I told my family immediately after reading this article was, do not, under no circumstance, use your passcode in public. If you're anywhere where there's other people around you, use biometric unlocking, even if it doesn't work right away. Try again and try again, try again. Do not use your passcode when somebody is close by. If you cannot unlock your phone at all with biometrics like fingerprint or Face ID, then protect the passcode. You hide yourself while you're typing it in. That level of security. Because cameras get smaller all the time. Like these little cameras that look like pins. Don't assume that your passcode is safe when you're just typing it in. If you have to use your passcode, protect it. So that's number one. The second thing is turn that stuff off. Turn it all the way off. Disable it. And use a different password manager. Your Apple ID and all the other passwords that you use, the banking passwords, is all protected by an app that's independent from Apple that cannot be unlocked with that passcode of the phone that they just stole from you. That's the second thing that you can do. But let's say you don't want to pay extra money because Apple has a password manager, why not use it? So what you do is you go into your settings. Yeah, I know, settings, screen time. And then there's restrictions there. You can actually restrict what can be used when you lock your screen time. Screen time was conceived by Apple to protect children. Like let's say you want your son or your daughter to be able to play with the phone while you're busy with something, and you don't want them to be able to buy things from the App Store or browse websites that you don't want them to. You can put safeties here. So these content and privacy restrictions, there's a whole slew of them. So you go to turn that on. So now you can choose from a whole bunch of things. Apple advertising, I don't even know what that all is. Allowed apps and features. So you can say, I don't want them to use wallets. You turn that off. And so I also want to turn on passcode and Face ID. I don't want this to be allowed. And accounts. I don't want this to be allowed. And now you click on lock screen time settings. Now you have to set a screen time password. And that's very important. This has to be different from your phone passcode, the one you use to unlock your phone. I'm going to go with 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? You type it in again, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is just for now. If you use 1234 as your phone passcode, you're fired. Like seriously, that's the word. You don't, why are you even watching this? Get a passcode that's better than 1234. Now this is really important here in this part. Screen time passcode recovery. If you forget your screen time passcode, you can use your Apple account to reset it. We don't want this. This has to be canceled. And then you do skip. Now we lock the phone with screen time. So if I'm going back into the settings, what you see on the top here is now my account can't be modified anymore. I locked this. I don't even have a wallet anymore on my home screen. It's gone. With these settings, you can now protect your phone with a secondary layer. If you want to be the safest, then don't use your passcode in public and use a secondary password manager. Apple needs to really fix that. They need to put a secondary password into that password manager. Otherwise, it's not safe. And we have been using Keychain for a long time without realizing this. But that new launch of this password manager made it even more glaring now that there is a problem with that. It all fails if somebody gets your passcode. And by the way, if you turn off that, what I said earlier, that you're not allowed to recover that password, write it down somewhere on a piece of paper and put it in a drawer or something, not in your password manager. I know this is a lot, and I'm probably making it sound way more complicated than it is. If you're not taking away anything at all from this video, except for this one little message that I'm gonna put on your heart, is do protect your iPhone passcode like your bank account passcode. Secondary takeaway is, like, if you really, really want to be sure that nobody steals anything of yours, you need a secondary password manager that is not Apple's until Apple fixes that lack of being able to lock it. I mean, right now, you can't even lock that with screen time. Screen time gives you a secondary layer of protection that helps you, but you need to act fast because your password manager is not protected. So yeah, that was my public service announcement. That was way longer than it should have been, but it's a little bit complicated and it's very important. Do your due diligence, Google, research. Don't take my word for it. So I hope this was informative for you. I hope you learned something today. I hope it's helpful. I really do hope that the people you're going to meet in a bar are all nice and buy you drinks and you're just going to have a fun time with them. I wish you all the best and I hope to see you again in my next video. Bye.